Watts Group are property consultants, and they provide surveying services to the construction and property industry as a whole. Calyx are pivotal to being able to move Watts forward. It's been a difficult 3 years. I think the whole of the property and construction sector has been very badly affected by the wider economic crisis. We haven't been able to make the investments in technology that we would have liked, and therefore it's been about working with Calyx to see how much we can get out of very little, stabilising the systems, standardising and clearing up some of the legacy that were left by the former incumbent who provided managed services to us. Yes, a very tricky take-on process when Calyx got involved. We exited from our previous incumbent in the form of an emergency take-on, where Calyx came in and effectively had to break into the systems in order to take control. Therefore, in that situation, you have no documentation, you have no stability of passing on the baton, and therefore they effectively had to unearth all sorts of issues, from virus situations that were somewhat out of control and systems that hadn't been maintained for quite a while. Calyx's approach to help a client manage their IT is about understanding what the client's strategy is, engaging throughout the process, and then working with us to provide annual plans to deliver that strategy. So the process has been about transforming the IT infrastructure that Watts currently have in place, a very traditional model of technology replicated, infrastructure technology replicated across all the sites, very expensive model to maintain. At the same time, the age of the infrastructure is such that we're having to work very hard to keep it alive and keep it going. And it should have really been changed 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a process of maintenance and trying to see if we can maintain as much stability to keep the business going, while we then look at a migration of this infrastructure out to the cloud. As all of us who are in IT know, cloud has become this buzzword that's suddenly got board attention to a subject, and a technique we've all been using for many years, hosting. What that's meant is it's broken down some of the security concerns, and we need to look after our own applications and data. It's broken that down, and it's allowed us then to work with people like Calyx to move, starting with email, which is the first application we want to move out to the cloud. And down the road, I mean, our attitude is, why do we want to be owning lots of boxes of expensive tin? That's not the core business. You know, we'd sooner give that responsibility and the cost of owning that to somebody else, and we'll just buy IT as a service. Now, while we may not be quite there in terms of the full consumerization of all the applications and technologies that a company like Watts would need, I certainly expect within the next 12 months we will have moved most of our requirement delivered from a hosted environment, or cloud as we now call it. The desire to move to the cloud is fundamentally driven by the user base. Watts are made up of a lot of mobile workers, surveyors who are going out onto sites, into client engagement. And with the technology Watts currently possess, it's very difficult for them to be productive when they're away from the office. Many of them have moved around within the industry and have seen how other property companies have been tackling this challenge of mobility and enablement, and therefore I think that has very much influenced the wish to follow this strategy. Yes, traditionally IT and within companies like Watts would have been driven by purchasing lots of boxes of tin, racking and stacking them up, putting them on a lease, and having all that complexity and headache of owning that equipment and maintaining that equipment. I don't think the business is interested in that anymore. Certainly they're not interested in large CapEx investments. The OpEx model of being able to treat IT as a service and effectively turn the tap on or off based upon the users, the officers and the requirements within the business that will change over time. Calyx currently manage our IT, and we would hope that as we march forward into the cloud, they're going to be able to provide the hosting, the carrier services capabilities to continue to partner with us. Now, obviously, this is quite a new venture for Calyx and for the market as a whole. So we're going through a process of due diligence at the minute, looking at the options, looking at how we can construct this cloud model, and then taking a steady evolution of moving our applications into that space over the next 12 to 24 months. Calyx's approach to managing IT has been very much based on the ITIL model, and a step change, refreshing step change from our previous provider. So the first challenges for them were to document and put these processes in place, basic processes that we're all used in IT of using in many other organisations, but we're sadly missing within Watts at that time. Part of the challenge for Watts heading into a downturn were how to properly control costs across the business. IT costs were not aligned to benchmark, and the process of changing the managed service provider and bringing in Calyx has allowed us to halve our costs of managing the technologies and supporting the users. The relationship with Calyx is all about partnership, and that is a very open and transparent proposition. That is one of the strengths I perceive in Calyx, is that they get ingrained within the business that they're supporting, but also they allow the customer to become very close to how they are delivering the operational support. That then makes you feel like an external company, Calyx, are very much closer, as if they were an internal IT team, but with all the benefits of being a partnered supplier. One of the components I very much like about how Calyx does business is the open and transparent can-do approach. That is something that breeds trust, and while they don't always get this right, while they don't always get every element of delivering IT correctly, as soon as an issue is escalated, they take it seriously and problems get resolved very quickly. I feel I can have a conversation with any layer of the Calyx business and I'm listened to and taken seriously.